What is up, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Riftbound Reviews. Now, I do want to preface with stating that this is not going to be the typical kind of content that I'm planning on creating on this channel. Channel's mostly going to focus on VOD reviews and, more of a coaching style channel. I'll be starting off with, looking over my own personal gameplay, and hopefully in the future, people find my insights and things valuable and will want to submit VODs of their own for review. But right now, we're still early in the game, waiting on Pixelborn to get stable so we can start making some of these awesome gameplay situations, and also for all the cards to be out. So right now we're recording the after the first week of reveal season. We've got roughly half the cards of the set out already. So I wanted to jump in here, give my first initial impressions on the legends that we're going to be able to play. I am focusing only on the legends that come in the actual Origin set. I'm not focusing on the Proving Grounds legends. The devs have stated that, the whole Proving Grounds kit is designed to play well with each other and isn't designed to be competitively viable. And based off the few cards that we've seen revealed from it so far, I do think that's going to be the case. Who knows? Maybe one of the legends is actually cracked in the Proving Grounds, and if so, we'll address that in the future. Now, obviously, with the way that Riftbound works, picking your legend defines your entire deck and your playstyle and everything. So this is going to be really the most important decision that you make whenever you go about building your Riftbound deck. Just like picking your main for League of Legends, or who to 6-star in Legends of Runeterra. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in with Kaisa here. Now, Kaisa, her domain identity is Fury Mind, aka Red Blue, and she has the ability to exert, as a reaction, add a power of any color, but you can only use that to play spells. Now, in Riftbound, unlike Magic the Gathering, not everything is a spell. Spells are spells, units are units, they're different things. So she can only use these to play spells. Right now, she's got some really interesting stuff. Her signature spell is extremely powerful, but very expensive. The red and blue color archetypes are interesting because, like, red is very aggressive, fury focused, whereas mind is a lot more about like card draw, combat tricks. Has a little bit more of a reactive play style. And so combining these two together is interesting. You get kind of like an Is It feel with Magic the Gathering, where both of them, have some good options when it comes to spells and things like that nature, and that's kind of where Kaisa is coming in. The issue that she has right now is that there's really not good low cost spells that have a cheap power requirement that she can take advantage of. And so right now, like, we're really not using her ability until later on in the game. And so it kind of reduces the amount of value that you're getting out of it. Now, if we do see some, cheaper, impactful spells that have a power cost that we can actually use this ability to our advantage for, then she's probably going to pop off. She's got access to some really interesting things. There's a card called Promising Future that, if you build your deck around it to where you have a bunch of big stompy stuff, you can cheat them out, for a significantly less cost. Works kind of like show and tell in Magic the Gathering, but there's a couple of rules quirks with the card that they're trying to figure out to make it actually work within the game's framework. So overall, we're really in a holding pattern with Kaisa. She's got a lot of potential. Her ability is really strong. I mean, in the game, generating power normally requires you to recycle one of your runes, putting it back to the bottom of your rune deck, which is basically deramping yourself and giving you less energy in the future. So if she's able to basically every single turn prevent one deramp, then that's one extra energy you have accumulating across the course of various turns, that allows her to really, continue playing, on a very good curve for essentially nothing. And so she's got a lot of potential. We're just really waiting to see the support for her right now. Her champion is incredibly strong. It allows, it's a 6 cost, 6 might that whenever it conquers a battlefield, it can play a spell from your trash for free. Um, as long as the spell's cost is less than your points that you've scored so far. And so there's a lot of really good things that you can use that on. Unfortunately, her signature spell, Icathian Rain, is a 7 cost. So the uh, champion does specify less than, not less than or equal to. So you're never going to be able to use that on the signature spell unless you're playing in 2v2 where the points total is 11 instead of 8. So overall, still a lot to see with Kaisa. She has a lot of potential. Her ability is really, really strong. We'll kind of see what kind of support she gets going forward. Next up, we're going to jump into Volibear. I'm sure you've noticed that there is another Volibear down here. This is the secret rare version of the base rarity Volibear. We've seen the secret rare Volibear and the Yasuo, and also the signature for both of them. But the Yasuo isn't showing up because of the filters that I have applied. Don't know why the Volibear is. Anyways, Volibear. Whoa. Clicked the wrong button, y'all. Anyways, Volibear. He is Fury Body, so red orange. Both of these are aggressive colors, really focused on conquering and fighting, and just big brawly things, which makes a lot of sense for Volibear. Now, Volibear's ability is that whenever you play a mighty unit, which is a unit with 5 might or more, you may exhaust me to channel 1 rune exhausted. And so channeling is putting a rune from your rune deck into play. So basically, Volibear has built-in ramp. You play a big thing, you ramp a rune. Really cool. When we first, Volibear was one of the trial decks that was demoed at Macau, and we've been playing with, roughly 6 months. The version of Volibear that they had built out in the trial deck was this very ramp, big body, large energy cost focus build. And that ran into a lot of issues because there is a significant amount of cheap removal in a variety of colors. And so if you're just playing one big thing per turn, and then someone else can remove that big thing for a couple of energy and then play something else, then it was really a bad time for Volibear. But now that we've gotten more cards, we've definitely gotten some things that allows him to play things a bit cheaper and get a lot of value out of them. The red Darius was a big deal when for this deck when it dropped, and then also there's a card called First Mate that allows him to do play a lot faster because it allows him to ready his units and take more actions than he normally would be able to. So we're definitely seeing a more what's considered aggro volley be more viable as we get more and more cards, and hopefully we continue to see things that support that playstyle. But Volley's got a lot of options for removal with the red and body. A lot of things like challenge and Snapvine that allow your units to fight other units and kill them, and generally your units are going to be bigger than other people's units. Red has a whole bunch of things that can give assault or do damage or various other things that help you with removal. So overall, we've seen Volibear get a lot better very shortly with these first round of reveals, and I'm really excited to see where he ends up because he was one of my mains in League of Legends way back in the day. I was a huge Trick 2G fan. Udyr wasn't really my thing, but OG Volibear, loved it. Next up, we have Jinx, who, man, Jinx is good. She's probably got the most support right now, the most like defined support package for her playstyle. Just because when they built the trial deck for her, they actually made it really good in terms of what cards that she wanted, as well as we're starting to continue to see even more things come out that are potentially really good in Jinx as well. So she is Fury Purple. Again, both kind of aggressive colors. Purple does have a lot more control options. And so what Jinx says is at the start of your beginning phase, draw one if you have one or fewer cards in your hand. So Jinx really runs a discard playstyle where she's looking to play cards that discard cards from her hand. And so because of that, cost, the cards that she's playing are stronger than they would normally be for their curve, but then she's got a variety of discard payoffs, whether it's things like Flame Choppers, where when it's discarded, you can play it to the field, or it's Purple Jinx, where when you discard a card, you ready her and give her additional might. um, and then on top of that, with there's also cards like Traveling Merchant or a couple of Zon Warrens, other things that say discard one, draw one. But if you're at 0 cards in hand, you just draw one. So Jinx is able to dump her hand, take advantage of these discard draw mechanics, refill her hand, and just really play out a lot of cards and create a very, very aggressive playstyle. Her signature spell, Super Mega Death Rocket, it costs 4 and an energy, deals 5 damage to a unit anywhere on the board. And then whenever you conquer a battlefield, you can discard a card and bring it back to your hand. And so this gives her a lot of longevity over the lifetime of the game. And one really interesting thing about her is, because you're doing this hand dump and then drawing up, you're really just trying to maximize whatever cards that the game is giving you at that moment. And so she can really flex between a very, very aggressive playstyle or a more tempo control aggro oriented place as well, just depending on what she draws and what the matchup is and things of that nature. And so she's a lot of fun. She's really good. She's very flexible. Um, right now, well, she was the people considered Victor the best deck in format in the trial deck format, but I still stand that Jinx was, and it's still looking like she's going to be an extremely strong deck going forward. Which kind of brings us to Darius, who's kind of like the counterpoint to Jinx, because he is Fury and Order, so red yellow, and what his ability is Exhaust, Reaction, Legion, add 1 energy. So basically, what this means is when you activate Legion, so after you've played a card for the turn, you activate Legion, and so he can add an extra energy to your energy pool. So this allows you to play out more cards, just because you have more energy available to you as well. And he was really wanting to take advantage of this Legion ability. But whereas Jinx is all about discarding cards and taking advantage of them in order to play out a whole bunch of stuff, and then has those card draw things built into her. Not only her legend effect allowing her to draw additional cards, but also being able to take advantage of those discard and draw mechanics. Darius, his whole thing is he wants to be playing out at least 2 cards a turn, if not more. But he's not really in colors that are good at drawing cards. And so the issue with Darius right now is that he runs out of gas very, very quickly. And so until we really see a good draw mechanic available to him, I think he's going to have issues. He does have some really, really good cards available to him. Yellow has incredible amounts of really good removal. His signature spell is a great removal for 4 and a 1. If you activate Legion, it just kills something anywhere. If you don't activate Legion, then the next time that whatever thing you target takes damage, it just dies. So again, really good removable. We've got access to Cold the Weak, Hidden Blade, Dragon, um, a variety of effects available to us in red. Both of his champions are solid. The red Darius is really good. Um, the yellow one is more situational than the red one, but is also a very strong as well. So he's got a lot of stuff going for him, but the biggest issue is just that he runs out of gas so fast and isn't in the colors to really build that draw engine to maintain the gas throughout the game. So right now, Darius kind of just feels like a worse version of Jinx, even though they do have access to different things. So we're kind of just waiting to see what happens because I really like this concept. I really love this playstyle. I love the idea of being rewarded for doing things that I already want to do, which in this case is play cards. So if I am being rewarded for playing cards and then playing more cards after those cards, then awesome, especially when my legend gives me extra resources in order to play more cards. Apologies. So yeah, I really want to see Darius get a draw engine so that he can keep pushing throughout the game. Now, Ari here, the nine-tailed fox, gonna be a fan favorite, of course, just because it's Ari, is in green and blue and has a really interesting, aka Calm in Mind, and has a really interesting ability. So, whenever an enemy unit attacks a battlefield you control, give it -1 might this turn to a minimum of 1 might. So that means if you're currently holding a battlefield and your opponent is trying to take it from you, and they come in with 4 units, right? Each of those units is going to get -1 might. So that's a 4 might swing in your favor, which is really awesome, especially when green and blue already have access to a lot of buffs and other might negs and things of that nature that allow you to really manipulate those combats. Now, when we first saw Ari, we thought, she'd really just be kind of a protect the queen kind of play style, especially with her champion, which gives you an additional point whenever you score a hold at a battlefield that she's at, which can be incredibly powerful. But there's a lot of negatives to that and a lot of abilities for people to deal with that particular play style. Whereas we've seen a couple of more recent builds focusing more on just kind of a uh, long-term control playstyle and just trying to manipulate the battlefield and to your advantage, and then just over time building up enough cards in your hand where you can answer anything that your opponent throws at you. And that's been a really, really interesting play style to see. So I'm excited to see what other things Ari gets available to her and how those play styles really develop, because she's definitely kind of, one of the definitely the archetypical control characters. So seeing how this, how control develops within this game is definitely going to be really interesting thing to see. Now I'm gonna go a bit out of order here on this one because I want to talk about Lee Sin and Set at the same time because they both revolve around the same mechanic, but they do so in different ways. So Lee Sin, we have the calm and body domains, aka green orange. And what he says is pay 1 energy, exhaust me, buff a friendly unit. If it doesn't have a buff, it gets a +1 might buff. Now, buff is a specific mechanic in Riftbound. There's going to be buff tokens that are available in the packs, and buff is simply uh, a status that's applied to something, and a buff natively gives that unit a +1 might. Buffs do not stack, though, normally. The green champion for Lee Sin does have the ability, a passive ability that allows his buffs to stack. So you can make one really, really big Lee Sin over time because he can also exhaust himself to buff himself, and there's other ways to give buffs. So that Lee Sin can get really, really big. And green has a lot of ways of protecting, things, whether through counter spells or things like Zonias that allow you to prevent something from dying and things of that nature. There's also spells like Staying United that interact with buffs to where it buffs the buffs and makes all of your buffs give an extra +1 might. And we'll probably see other things that interact with buffs in interesting ways as well. Set, on the other hand, also revolves around buffs. He's also body, and then he's order. So he's losing access to a lot of those combat tricks and the counter spells and the defense abilities that green has, and gains access to more ability to flood the board with units, a lot more access to kill spells, things of that nature that order has. But he kind of makes up for that with his ability, which is when a buff unit you control would die. Oh, this thing is worded incorrectly. It's worded like a triggered ability, but it's actually a replacement effect. So this win should be if. So I'm just going to read it as if it was worded correctly. If a buffed unit you control would die, you may pay 1 power of any color and exhaust me to spend its buff and recall it exhausted instead. When you conquer, ready me. So this ability is super strong. Basically, you spend a buff on a unit and you prevent it from dying, which is ridiculous. Gives you so much longevity with your units. The issue is that they need to be buffed. And unlike Lee Sin, who is able to apply buffs himself, Set cannot do that. He relies on his cards buffing his other cards. And right now, there's not great buff engines within the game. There's one card, arena something, it's a gear, cost 3, exhaust it, and put a buff on the exhausted unit, which is great in Set and really makes him work because whenever you play a unit, normally it comes into play exhausted, and then you can just immediately use the arena bar to buff it, and then Set's online. The issue is if you don't draw arena bar, you're way behind, and then also just playing it on its own, is a huge loss of tempo because it doesn't do anything itself. It's a gear. So that's kind of where the issue that Set is at the moment. So what we're really looking for with Set is good ways to buff your units. And then what we're really looking for with Lee Sin are good payoffs for buffing your unit. So they're both revolving around the same mechanic, but they're looking for different things out of it because Lee Sin can consistently apply buffs. So we need ways to spin the buffs or to boost what the buffs are doing. Whereas with Set, we already have a fantastic option for spending buffs. Now we just need ways to apply them. And so both of these characters, I think, have a lot of potential. Both of them have access to body, which gives them access to great cards like Snapvine, like First Mate, Misfortune. A lot of these really, really strong, really good body cards they have access to. We also haven't seen the body champion for either Set or Lee Sin. And so there's a good chance that both decks can run each other's champion because they're probably both going to be focusing around buffs in some way, shape, or form. So I think both have a lot of potential. The set's ability is absolutely wild. So if Set is able to consistently be able to generate these buffs for his things, along with the removal that's available to him in body and order, being able to trade effectively and have your things not die while constantly being able to remove your opponent's stuff is going to give Set an incredible amount of control and ability to maintain their game uh, long term. Lee Sin kind of also similar, more of a mid-rangey into late game control type deal where you have the ability to build this huge Lee Sin or buff up, a large board and really gain value over time while also, preventing your opponent from doing things with counter spells and trading effectively with green, as well as, the variety of removal that body has available to it. Yasuo is interesting. Yasuo was another one of the trial decks. He feels really good in multiplayer when there's three battlefields that he can bounce around between and do different movement shenanigans. Um, he is calm chaos, so green purple. Uh, Purple really has a lot of stuff involving like movement shenanigans, bouncing, things of that nature. Calm also has access to some movement shenanigans, but again, the counter spells, the buffs, the things of that nature. And Yasuo's ability is pay 2 energy, exhaust him, move a friendly unit to or from your base. We know this is getting errated in some way, shape, or form because in 2v2, you could target a friendly unit, and a friendly unit means your teammate's unit, but you can't move your teammate's unit to your base. So this is probably just going to say its base or something like that in order to fix it. Yasuo's interesting. It's got some really cool stuff. Green Yasuo is a very, very strong champion. Last Breath, his signature spell is really good. We just don't really see so far his support in terms of like green and purple units just hasn't been great. We're looking, we were still waiting for purple Yasuo to be revealed, and that might, completely change the deck. Being able to move your units at will, basically, obviously it's still only on your turn outside of a showdown because it is, an activated ability that doesn't have the action or reaction tab. But this does give him a whole lot of flexibility and can combo with things like Kane in order to give it invulnerability, as well as a bunch of other really fun stuff that it can do. The issue is like paying 2 costs a lot, and if you're doing that consistently throughout the game, then you just end up really, really behind on board presence and tempo and things of that nature. So we're really just looking to see what more support that he gets. Right now, I don't think he's that good. Just because of this high 2 energy cost. We'll see what kind of support he gets in the future. Leona, my girl, I love her. She was one of my mains. I pretty much never played support in Legends of Runeterra unless I absolutely, or League of Legends unless I absolutely had to. But whenever I did, I played Leona, and I would wreck face. I love Leona, and I love her in this game as well. So Leona is calm and order, so green and yellow. Um, Calm, giving lots of access to control effects, movement effects, buffs. Order, giving access to buffs, kill spells, things of that nature. So what Leona does is she kind of has, at least in set one, her own unique mechanic that she's revolving around, which is stuns. So when you stun one or more enemy units, buff a friendly unit. So not as only does she have stuns, but she also interacts with the buff mechanics that we were talking about earlier. So what stuns do in Riftbound is if a unit is stunned, then for the turn that it is stunned, it cannot do damage in combat. So if I send in a if opponent has a 4 might unit and a 3 might unit for 7 might, and I send in my Leona champion who's a 4 cost 4 might that stuns a unit when she attacks. So she stuns the 4 might, gets buffed by Legend Leona, so now she's a 5 might. Normally, she would be dying there, right? But with the stun, you can stun the 4 might. You're only going to take 3 damage from the 3 might, so you'll survive. And then she can trade and kill the 4 might or the 3 might, or you can buffer with a discipline, putting her at 7. So now you're even. Normally, she would die there, but in this case, she kills both of them and conquers the field because she didn't take damage from the 4 might. So stun is really, really good for trading effectively. One of the kind of issues that she's running into is that if your opponents don't have things on the battlefield for you to, gain these stun things, then you're just kind of wasting a little bit of your potential. Not being able to, take advantage of those trades or things like that. And then they're able to come at you on their turn and not have to worry about getting stunned and things of that nature. So they kind of just let you come onto the battlefield and then respond, and you don't have a lot of great options for that. Although in green and yellow, you do have some really good reactions. What we've seen is on Friday we got some incredible reveals for Leona. So we got access to Sona, who is a 4 cost 4 might unit that when she's on the battlefield at the end of your turn, ready 4 of your runes. And so that really helps give you the option to not only to continue playing, on your curve and building up your board, but then also still having runes available to, play these reactions in order to keep your things alive, which is really important. As well as in combination with that, Shin, who's incredible, who's a unit with reaction, which means that you can play him on your opponent's turn. Who also has Defender 2. He's a 3 might, 3 cost 3 might, Defender 2, and Tank. So if your opponent comes and tries to take your battlefield from you, you can spend 3, drop a Shin down, you just got an extra 5 might, and he's got Tank, so your opponent has to deal the damage to him first, allowing you to save, really important units like Leona from being killed in that combat, things of that nature. So we've definitely seen that just a couple of cards really change what Leona is able to do. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how she develops. And what we really need is just more access to stuns. Right now, we've only got 3 cards that stun, which is the yellow Leona champion. Uh, Her signature sells Zenith Blade, which is really good. It's a stun a unit, then move one of your units to the battlefield that unit is at. Gives you some access to some movement, and it can do just really fun shenanigans. And then I don't remember what he's called in this game, but he was Ravoon in Legends of Runeterra. And what he does is when he's played, he can stun a unit. If that unit's already stunned, then he kills it instead, which I don't even really consider him a stun unit because you're normally going to want to be using him for the kill portion. And so then if he kills it instead, then you're not stunning it, which means you're not creating buffs with your legends, things of that nature. And we do have one really good stun payoff right now in the form of Eclipse Herald, which is expensive. It's 7 energy. but it's 7 might. And then when you stun something, you ready it and give it +1 might. Plus, if it doesn't already have a buff, you can give it a buff with Leona, making it, a 9 might. So it has the potential to be really big and be really impactful into the game. But what we need to see from Leona is more options for stunning things. Teemo is weird. Teemo is a mind chaos. So he's blue and purple, aka Blurple. And he's just as annoying as you would expect him to be. So what Teemo does is you may pay 1 energy to hide a card with hidden instead of paying a power. So instead of having to recycle a card, you can just exhaust 1, pay down a card for hidden, which is really, really good because hidden cards are, you know, they normally cost more than 1. And so you're able to, get these cards out for much lower value than you had to pay for it. So it allows you to, really timbo things out effectively, as well as, a lot of these hidden cards just have a lot of a variety of tricks and things available to them. And so when you're playing against Teemo, you never know. There's always going to be something hidden at the battlefield that you're going into, and you never know what it's going to do. Is it going to be a purple Teemo that's going to pop up and be an additional 4 might? Is it going to be the blue thing that negs something by 2 might and then is 2 might itself for another 4 might swing? Is it going to be the 3 might spirit thing? Or, there's still, I'm sure, tons of hidden cards that we haven't seen yet that are going to have an even larger variety of effect within these colors. Um, so he's all about the hidden mechanic. He really wants to just take both battlefields, be able to play a bunch of hidden stuff down, and make your opponent play hidden roulette of what is it that they're going to hit when they go in to try to conquer that battlefield. His signature spell is really good, especially if he's able to have both battlefields under his control. It only costs 2. It allows him to take 2 hidden cards from his trash, put them in his hand, and then allows him to play hidden cards for free. Well, allows him not to play them, allows him to hide hidden cards for free that turn. So he's got some recursion, um, as well as being able to cheat out these things, these hidden cards for cheap. Makes him really, really annoying to deal with. Right now, it is not really that strong, but it really just kind of depends on how much support he gets, not only in terms of hidden cards, but in just good high value cards to just play out outside of the hidden cards within the blue and purple archetype. Oh, man. I'm not used to talking this much. I apologize. Hopefully, as I do more videos, my vocal cords will develop. Next up, we have Victor, Herald of the Arcane, who is Mind and Order, aka Blue Yellow. He has a very simple ability. It's just pay 1 exert, play a 1 might recruit unit token. Doesn't sound all that great in paper. Turns out it's amazing. Being able to, one, just guarantee on the first turn, regardless of whatever you draw, that you can play a unit. Super important. Anytime you have additional resources available, just being able to play out, another unit is really strong. But then he really has a huge focus on just being able to apply buffs and debuffs to a large amount of things with his siphon power, or just massively buffing his whole board with green stratagem. So uh, Victor just dumps out a bunch of tokens through a bunch of yellow cards, buffs them up, and murders you. He is really, really hard to deal with if he's able to get his token engine going. Um, Especially since right now there's very few things that can take care of a lot of things at once. That basically that deals AOE damage, especially in base. There's like one card available in the game right now that can hit multiple units in base, and that is Kaisa's signature spell, Icathian Ruin. So it's only available to Kaisa, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that thing. Uh, so he was considered the best deck in format in the trial decks, and he's still considered potentially one of the best decks in format in the game. Just the amount of support that he has already for his playstyle, and the amount of options that he has available for him for dealing with the opponent's board, as well as maximizing his board, makes him very, very strong. Finally, we're going to finish off with Miss Fortune, Bounty Hunter. Uh, she is in Body and Chaos, aka Orange Purple. Her ability is very simple: Exert. Give a unit ganking this turn. Really good, really simple, really effective legend ability. So ganking allows things to move between battlefields. So if you're able to hold a battlefield and then give a unit there ganking at the beginning of your turn, they can just go over to that battlefield, the other one immediately, conquer it or fight your opponents or whatever it is. There's also a variety of things that allow you to ready stuff within the body colors. So you've got the orange Misfortune herself, or first mate, things of that nature. So you can play something, immediately ready it, or you can send a unit in that you had from last turn to fight at a battlefield, then ready it, and then exert Misfortune, give it ganking, and then it can go fight again at the other battlefield. So just a good, solid ability for her to have. Gives you a lot more flexibility, a lot more options when it comes to moving your things around the board, and just giving you overall more action economy throughout the game. As well as, with between First Mate, Warwick, Orange, Misfortune, just a lot of options for just being able to throw things at your opponent while giving you a little bit of control with the purple cards and other flexibility as well. So she seems to be pretty good. Definitely more of a mid-rangey deck in terms of play style. Bullet time has the potential to be incredibly good. So it only costs 1 energy, and then once it resolves, you have the option to pay as much power as you want and then deal damage to every unit at a battlefield equal to that power. So it can either be used in combination with something like Warwick to just ping everything for 1 and then Warwick wipes the field, or late game where it's like, cool, I have to take this battlefield, and then if I can take it I can win. Then you play it, dump all your energy or all your runes into power to buff it up, wipe the whole battlefield, then you move in and you kill, you take it over. So really flexible card, really good, hard to deal with if you don't have a counter spell or something of that nature. um so yeah. Anyways, I'm really excited about Riftbound. Every single legend has a very different play style. Like I said, we've got about half the cards in the set available at the moment, so there is still a lot of support coming for all these different legends, and I'm really excited to see where each of them end up in terms of the meta, as well as whatever their final play styles look like. So you know I hope you enjoyed this first video. Usual YouTubey stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know who your favorite legend is, who you're looking to main, and who you think is going to be tier 0. Signing off.